My name's Louise. I'm a performance artist and researcher, and I spent most of 2012 and 2013 living as 3 teenage girls online. I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes talking to you about my experiences during that year, but before I go on, I thought it would only be polite to introduce you to my alter egos. So, this is Becky. She is 15, likes dark eye makeup, emo music, and skipping school. This is Amanda. She is also 15, likes reading, seeing her friends, and playing video games. This is Baby. That's a nickname she gave herself after watching Dirty Dancing. She is 15, likes Britney Spears, the color pink, and making videos on YouTube. These videos that you're seeing now were live on YouTube for just over a year. Each video ends with the same question: am I pretty or ugly? In total, these videos received over 4,000 comments, roughly 70% of which were negative. Just to give you a little taster of what some of the comments said, here you go. So, why did I do this? It all started back in 2012 when I was researching how teenage girls are using the internet, and in particular social media today. Around that time, I was becoming a bit obsessed with the kind of language that they use. When I say language, I mean the language of the internet. Fashions in fonts and acronyms and video editing, self-referential memes, and the abyss of circular reblogging. This was a world of sideways smiley faces, the unironic posting of emo video blogs, a world where thinspiration sites sat in the same blogosphere as Hello Kitty fan blogs, a world where teen suicide videos went viral on YouTube at the same rate as Justin Bieber's rise to fame. I was intrigued about how this very specific teenage voice was being assimilated into the mainstream, and I began to wonder what it all meant. Then, I came across this video.
Hi guys, my name is Lexi, and I wanted to make a video to ask if I was pretty or ugly. Now, please be honest, because a lot of people say that I'm ugly, and I just wanted to know the truth. Am I pretty or ugly? And another thing, be honest. It's okay what you say. I don't really care if I'm pretty or, well, I
think that's enough of that. So, whilst I was watching these videos, I had one thought going around my head. I couldn't stop asking her why she was doing this. And then I couldn't stop asking myself whether I would do it if I'd had access to these kind of technologies at that age. There are 500,000 of these videos on YouTube, and I would estimate that the average age for the girls making them are between 9 and 14 years old, which for me seems really, really young. So the next step was obvious for me. I wanted to know how it would feel to post a video like this and what the effect might be. So I devised an experiment. I came up with the 3 generic teenage identities that I presented to you at the beginning of this presentation, and made some very quick, lo-fi videos, posted them on YouTube, and sat back. Within days, I had hundreds of comments, mostly bad, but I'm not going to lie, there were a few really nice ones in there. I started checking my phone more. It was exciting and kind of addictive. I could understand that part of it at least, kind of a thrill. And then one morning, I woke up to an inbox flooded with YouTube notifications. Here are some of the comments I read that morning. Reading them, I felt a bit sick. I felt excited and embarrassed and also kind of dirty. I laughed off a few of the comments, i.e., go kill yourself, you Halloween witch, and then started to wonder about some of the others. I'm ashamed to say this, but I started to wonder whether they were right. I wondered if my nose was too long, if my eyes were too close together, if I did speak with a slight underbite. Mostly, I shook it off, though, but I did worry. I worried that I was 27 years old and worrying about these things, and I worried how 15-year-old me would have reacted. Here's how the 3 videos compared in reception. So Becky got the most comments, followed by Amanda, and then closely followed by Baby. This surprised me somewhat, as I had imagined that the more conventionally good-looking of the 3 would receive the most hits. I began to wonder why Becky and Amanda seemed more clickable. The differences in the kind of comments each personality received was less surprising. Becky's was the least favorably received, that's the emo one, followed by Amanda, Becky, followed by Baby. As I said earlier, 70% of all responses were negative. So who were the people leaving these mostly negative comments? Well, 60% of commenters were male, and 40% were female, which again, I found quite surprising considering the content of the videos. I can also tell you that 80% of female commenters were under 18, whereas 70% of male commenters were over 18, so definitely adults. 70% of male comments were negative, and 30% of female comments were negative, so considerably lower. From these statistics, I could see very clearly that the average commenter on my videos was male, adult, and was leaving a nasty comment. It seems strange to me that so many men would want to listen to teenage girls whining about their looks, but then maybe it's a question of intent. But that wasn't all. In total, I received 91 private messages, and only 3 of those were from girls. Whilst the male response in the comments of the videos was largely negative, privately, the messages that I was receiving from men told a very, very different story. Mostly, these messages can be sorted into 3 groups. More bikini or body shots to help me tell whether you're pretty or not, topless pictures, and requests for private chats. One of the earliest messages that Becky received was from a young male who, for the purposes of this presentation, I'll be calling Bobby. Bobby had seen all the negative comments on her video and got in touch to say that he had been bullied at school too. He said he was sorry and to be strong. He then asked for a Facebook or Skype contact and asked if he could be her friend. I, Louise, felt very uneasy about this element of the research. I worried about the ethics of developing a friendship with a stranger on the internet to whom I was lying about my identity, despite him showing me considerable kindness. And I worried about the ethics of doing this in the name of research, or indeed, art. In the end, I reasoned with myself that to stay true to the character and the research, I should reply. Plus, I comforted myself with the thought that most people disguise their identities in some way or another online, so. Oops. And so, Becky and Bobby became friends. In the beginning, the messaging was very tentative, as I felt intimidated by the task in front of me, how to remain a believable teenager. This process was one of the more interesting elements of the project for me, changing the way I speak, making up everyday fictions about Becky's life, and more coming up with credible excuses for why I couldn't enter into video chats with him. As time went on, the frequency of our messaging increased. Soon he was requesting pictures. Then came the question of whether I had a boyfriend or not, and the tone of our conversations changed. At this point, honestly, I was in deep. Replying to messages became instinctive. I would reply to them whilst I was on the bus or on the street. I remember really clearly the frisson of receiving emails and constantly checking my phone. I genuinely felt that at this point in the research, I had reverted to being a teenager. Then, Bobby sent me a picture of himself and revealed to me that he was 42 years old. I remember looking at the picture in front of me, a man wearing a polo shirt, sitting at what must have been his desk in a front room somewhere in America, with grey hair and glasses. After this, the messages became extremely graphically sexual, on his part, not mine, and were followed by numerous threatening requests for topless pictures. Becky stopped replying to Bobby. I stopped replying to Bobby. I gave the project a little break. Upon return, I began to do a little research into Bobby, and what I found really shocked me. I found that Bobby had commented on 113 other pretty or ugly videos online. And I also found YouTube videos made for him by young girls posted online with the subject, "For my friend Bobby, kiss, hug, kiss." One of the videos had this comment under it. In some ways, these revelations felt like some small vindication for me in the project, but I must confess that I honestly still feel very uneasy about the experience. When I first began researching the pretty or ugly trend, I wanted to know why it was happening and what it might feel like, what the repercussions might be for me or the girls. Having experienced, even as a researcher, how easy it is to be drawn into this world, which can seem so exciting at first, I really do worry about the girls who are posting these videos. Outside of YouTube, my research has involved many face-to-face interviews and workshops with teenage girls. These are a generation of girls who are growing up with social media deeply embedded in their lifestyles, what some people call the digital natives. This is a generation of web users who are much more savvy than their older generations in many ways, and yet are incredibly so much more vulnerable at the same time. As much as it is alien to me, in a world of celebrity car crash culture, of all press is good press, of X Factor and homegrown YouTube stars, I can see the appeal in posting these videos. However, the posting of these videos obviously creates a clear and direct target for those who seek to abuse the vulnerable online. And even if those girls are lucky enough not to become targets, what does this trend say in more general terms about the society we are living in? Not only does it reveal much about the ridiculous importance we place on being pretty for young girls, but I believe this trend also says a lot about what they crave beyond that: fame. For many of the pretty or ugly girls, it appears that they may have posted these videos not only because part of them wanted to know the answer to the question, but also because it's a trending topic on YouTube. And they know that if they post a video on the same topic, they'll get more hits. Many of these already heartbreaking videos will end with a plea to subscribe to their channel. For me, even after all these experiences, the answer still isn't crystal clear, as I believe we are always going to be playing catch-up with this generation as they speed ahead of us with technology. But I believe part of the answer lies in education and changing the way we view women in society. We need to teach girls how to be responsible for themselves online. We aren't always going to be able to protect them. And perhaps we need to adjust some of the most deeply embedded beliefs that they hold. I want these girls to know that they don't have to perform for the camera if they don't want to, and that ultimately there are many more interesting questions that could be asked. Thank you.